Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you for having me here. Today we are going to talk about Power Pages. Okay, it is going to be an introductory session. Clevin has, I was also listening to the session which Clevin has delivered, and definitely it is something new which I have also learned today. This particular session would be about Power Pages and how we would be able to create website using Power Pages, right? So before I start, a bit introduction about myself. I'm Siddharth Vagasia. I'm based in Pune, India. I am founder of a company called Binary Roots, where we are providing services around SharePoint, Teams App, Power Platform, Azure.net. I had been awarded Microsoft MVP in Microsoft 365 development and business app category. I do love to contribute in the open source contributions as a part of Microsoft 365 Power Platform and Power Platform community basically, where I contribute to some of the open source repos like sample script, PNP PowerShells, and the other repos as well in terms of SPFX, TeamsF, etc. These are some of the social handles through which you would be able to connect with me. Now, what are we going to talk today, right? So basically, we will start with a bit understanding what is Power Pages, what are the capabilities of Power Pages, what are the design and the build components which are available within Power Pages. Of course, we'll also have to talk about Copilot in Power Pages. I'm not going to deep dive into that because there is another session which would be conducted by Kirti today itself, where would we have a deep dive into how you can leverage Copilot in the Power Pages, and then we will see some live demo. Now, first of all, to understand the overall landscape of Power Platform and where Power Pages fit in, right? This is the slide. In fact, I got this slide from Kirti itself from one of his previous session, and this defines very well all the available products under the Power Platform suite and what it is meant for, right? And to start with, we know Power Apps basically is for the application development, and through which we would be able to create the UI UX and front end for the end user to create the apps, right? And Power Automate for the workflow automation. Then Power Automate is also used for Power Automate is also used for basically not only just the automation, which is event-driven automation, but also scheduled automation. So if it is something we wanted to create or run on a particular day, a particular time, then that also can be done. And with the availability of so many connectors which are there, the possibilities of workflow automation within Power Automate is not limited to just the Microsoft 365. There are so many integration points which is available. And good thing about the connectors is that connectors works across the different platforms. So it can be used in Power Apps as well. It can be used in Power BI as well. Some of them can be used in Copilot Studio as well. Okay. Third being the Power BI, which is basically, as we all know, analytics tool. So from Power Apps, we basically, generate the data. It means we take data from the user. Power Automate, we probably process the data, and Power BI is for reporting of that data, right? And then there is Copilot Studio, okay, which is before this was known as Power Virtual Agent, okay, but with the added capability of the Copilot or the generative AI or the Chat GPT on top of the PVA, it has been rebranded now as Copilot Studio, with which we as a developer or as a business developer or citizen developer would be able to quickly create the bots which would use the power of Chat GPT or the generative AI also, okay. The good thing about the Copilot Studio is it is available for us to create small bots which are specific to a particular use case. So it means we would be able to connect and create a bot which would be working on our own data rather than on the public data. You would be able to connect it with your specific website, which can be a public facing website. You can also connect with your SharePoint, OneDrive. If not, you can also connect it with your Azure OpenAI services and on your custom database as well, right? And then on the top, the Power Pages, of course, it is for the website development. We are going to see, in detail about the Power Pages. So I'm not going to cover that, but ideally, these five products eventually, and at the center of everything, we have Dataverse, which is basically a relational database for creating or storing the data. Or used as a data source, and then there are connectors, so many connectors which are available through which we would be able to create a fully fledged application around Power Platform. right? And now let's see what is Power Pages, right? So basically, in any scenarios when we are considering or creating an app with the Power Platform, what happens is we create a Power Apps app, be it a data source as a SharePoint, be it a data source as an Excel or a SQL or anything, right? What we need is we need an user to have a valid Microsoft 365 account to able to access that app. It means Power Apps is mostly been used for creating an application which has to be used internally. Okay, but when we are running a business, when we are running an organization, there would be many scenarios where we would have to connect it with the external vendors or external users as well, right? Yes, there is a way wherein we would be able to share the Power Apps with our external users through via guest, adding them as a guest in our tenant. But what if you wanted to create an public facing website, right? And website which is anonymous in nature, and a website where you wanted your vendors or your external suppliers or your clients or customers to come, be make it as in secured as well, plus would be able to interact on the same data in which your internal team is doing it, right? And that is where the Power Pages comes into picture, with which we would be able to create an enterprise grade web applications, external facing web application or business website with the power of low code. And also it is provided as a SaaS platform for sure. It means we don't have to worry about hosting it, or we don't have to worry about security or anything, because it basically comes under the same umbrella of Power Platform, which has all the security and administrative features which are available, right? Now these are some of the use case in which you can use Power Pages, right? Okay, so these are the use case which has been officially available on the Power Pages website, okay, wherein it says, we can build websites for like state or local government or some public service organization, through which we would be able to show them different services about the permissions, licensing, applications, outage reporting, etc. It means if you wanted to share something, right? Now consider, I also sometimes look the Power Pages at a content management system. Okay, so if not you are creating is as a part of your whole business process automation, where you need your external vendors, suppliers, or external users to come and interact on the same data, you can also think about it using as a CMS or a content management system, which is very much equivalent to WordPress and everything, right? Now you can also create frequently asked questions document for your product service policies, okay, which can be easily be maintained. You can create a self-service customer portal wherein you would be able to display services like warranty, registration, support, inquiry, appointments, and account management for your customers and for the products which you are selling as a part of your organization or as a part of your overall services which being provided. Of course, it can also be used for the partner management, where you can support the partners with their onboarding, their documentation upload, their order management, vendor support, all that kind of thing. So basically, the vendors or the suppliers are considered here as a partner, and with which we would be able to basically go and create a portal through which they can interact. Then for the application processing, also it can be used like for visa, permit processing, loan application processing, and data reporting. Okay, now coming to the my personal experiences on use case, or where we have created an application for our customers using Power Pages. One of them was to basically give an insurance quote around particular use case, right? So it means that we have created a website where there was a landing page wherein a user comes, they have to fill in the form, they give their requirement in terms of what we would going to ask for, and then we provide them with the quote for their insurance. Okay, we were talking about health insurance, we were talking about life insurance in some case, and also we had planned to expand it to the insurance for our automobiles, right? Vehicles, cars, etc., right? So it means that we created a portal wherein user comes, based on what kind of insurance they are looking for, they fill in the form. Once they fill in the form, the request was stored in the database, and then within internal team would review that, and what it will do is, once they would understand what is the different business rules to be applied for, in some cases we just give them high level quotes. Also in some cases, the internal users or the internal consultant, insurance consultant, would come, pick up that request, see the requirements, and based on that update certain fields, which would send an email to the requester saying that okay, this is what the code has come up through. We were also sending the PDF in that case. Okay, so these are some of the use cases which you can build. Now, coming to the capabilities, like as I said, it can be used as a content management, plus it can also be used as a dynamic website. It doesn't has to be just the content management or a public facing website where you are creating landing pages or some static information to be displayed. Okay, but it is both. It can be used as content management. It can be used for dynamic website also. Good thing is that the authoring experience is very simple, which we are going to see in the demo. There is a design studio which is available like any other Power Platform based product. We have our own studio which is available, through which you would be able to create the pages. You would be able to add the components to the pages. You would be able to design the pages, right? By default, if you are using the components which are available within Power Pages, they are responsive in nature. So we don't have to take care of making it responsive. By default, Power Pages use Bootstrap 4, and it can also be extended to Bootstrap 5. All the new websites are using Bootstrap 5, and it is responsive in nature. It means if you are using the components which are available, it by default will make sure that that particular website is responsive in nature and works well in the mobile as well. Now, not only for the low code developers that we have the design studio, but if you think that if you have a use case or if you have a requirement wherein you need some advanced development capabilities, that is also available, through which we would be able to open or edit that website in the Visual Studio Code, write our own JavaScript, liquid programming, which on which it is supported, and then would be able to customize more advanced level rather than just the low code level itself. There are some SDKs libraries available through which we would be able to directly connect the data with our web API, like Dataverse web API, and then once the data is there, you would be able to render it by creating your custom HTML, so that you can create a more advanced looking UI also, if you wanted to do based on the pro developer capabilities. Then of course there is security and governance around it. It means there are certain security and governance features which are available, through which you would be able to control if you are creating a website. If you want that website to be accessible in certain region only, that can be done. If you want, by default it has the firewall also, through which every request would go. So by default the security features would be there. And also the good thing is that it has integration with all other Power Platform components. It means that we would be able to use in many cases the same the connectors which are available, and using that connectors you would be able to still do the automations which we are doing. You would be still able to connect with your Dataverse. You would be able to still connect with your other sources which are there. So these are overall the capabilities of the Power Pages. Now, Uh, this we will talk about in detail, okay, but just wanted to put it in the slide so that we understand that who are starting with the Power Pages, okay. The Design Studio has been divided into 4 different workspaces, which is Pages workspaces, through which we would be able to create and design new pages. Then there is a Styling workspace, through which we would be able to go and create the styling, branding updates. We can quickly review the changes and then we can apply that. Then there is a data workspace through which we would be able to connect with the business data in terms of tables, forms, and list, which is nothing but creating or connecting it with the Dataverse tables which are available. Now, with that, what we would be able to, with Power Pages, what we would be able to do is we would be able to use the existing model-driven forms and view. It means if you have a table which is a model-driven app where you have created your own forms, you have created your own views, same similar kind of forms and views can be enabled and put it into Power Pages, and it would work well as well. Okay, so that is where the integration with the other Power Platform components also comes into picture. And then there is a setup workspace. Now, setup workspace is for enabling the administrator, okay, wherein they can do the authentication, set up the authentication. They can set up the security and permissions. The go live configuration checklist is there. They can also enable, disable the progressive web app settings, the firewall, the security settings which I was talking about. Okay, we will talk about identity provider and what are the different things it is available wherein you can authenticate the user as well, right? Okay, now I won't go into detail. As I said, there is a separate session which Kirti is going to do today on using the capability of Copilot in Power Pages. But in nutshell, now with Copilot, been available in all Microsoft 365 products. There is a Copilot for Power Pages as well, through which you would be able to just give the prompt, and by default, when you give the prompt, the Copilot would be able to create the pages for you, so that you can at least get a jump start on what you wanted to build. So you give a scenario saying that, okay, create an site where I wanted to show my business branding elements. Okay, and then it will create that site or the page for that. Then if you can say that, okay, create a form wherein I need these 3 5 fields, it would be able to do that. Okay, so whatever capabilities Copilot would have in the other Power Platform products, same way it would be able to use and create it here as well. Now, how can you try, right? If you are already having a Microsoft 365 account, there is a 30 days trial license which is available, which in fact gets extended for 2 to 3 times. After that, it doesn't get extended. And we will see that only the trials website which we are creating, as soon as you wanted to convert into a production site, you would need a premium license. But till then, you would be able to use and try and do your hands-on on top of it. Okay. Now, when we talk about pricing, right? So everything would come to licensing and pricing at all. Okay. So there are 2 types of pricing models which is available. One is for authenticated user and one is for the anonymous user. Now, based on the scenarios which you are doing, what is authenticated user versus what is anonymous user? Now, if you are creating a website and if you are enabling the website to when we are connecting the website and when we would directly enable it for the anonymous user, what you will do is we would be able to enable it for every user, so no authentication would be required. But when it comes to the authenticated user, you can actually enable different kinds of identity providers like Azure AD, Gmail, and different OAuth 2.0 based authentication provider. What it does is it creates an table or the entries in the account table for that particular environment. And if you having the user who is logged in, the pricing model works like this, wherein it says $200 for the 100 user per site per month. It means that we are going to cost like around $2 or something for per user who is accessing per site per month. And if it is anonymous, it is based on more or less 500 users, which are basically the unique users, depending on the views or depending on their IP address, through which we would be able to cost 75. Okay, now let's go to, so this is to just set the context on, what is the Power Pages and what capability it has and the licensing model. Now let's quickly go and see how we can create the Power Pages website, right? So first thing what you can do is, if you have Microsoft 365 license, you can go to powerpages.microsoft.com and you have to make sure that you are using the right environment. Now, if you see here, by default, whenever there would be a default environment which would be there. One thing you have to note here is that on the default environment, you cannot create a Power Pages website. Okay, there is a limitation there. So you would have to create your own separate environment in which you would be able to create the Power Pages website. Now, this environment can be a Dataverse environment also, which we are creating, because we might wanted to integrate it with your existing Dataverse tables which are there, right? Now, first thing is make sure that you choose the right environment. Okay, this is the capability of the Copilot, where I was saying that if you would basically describe the website which you need, what it will do is it will create by default the websites, the page template, etc. If you wanted to start with a template, now to consider the workshop, the overall UI of what we have in the design studio, you also have templates, right? Wherein there are certain templates which are provided by Microsoft, which you can basically jumpstart into. So depending on your requirement, whatever you think that the particular template would be useful to you, you can basically go and select the template and then start creating on top of it. I would recommend, if you are doing or learning it for your own purpose, use some templates so that you know how different pages are already been created, how the tables are created, and how the permission has been set. That will help you to learn more, right? And then there is also a learning hub, wherein there are some how-to videos which are available regarding on learning the Power Pages, and it has been divided into design and build, AI Copilot, how to connect it to the Dataverse, all of this, right? Okay, now let's go and see how we can create a site, right? Okay, for example, what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a site, and I wanted to start blank. I don't wanted to create on anything. What we will do is we will just go through this wizard once, and uh, then we will just see and start looking at the existing site which is created, because it takes some time to site to be created. Okay, normally to create a site, okay, this is the only form which you get. What you have to do is you have to provide your site name, you have to provide your address, okay, what the site address would be. By default it would be always .powersportals.com, but the good thing is that you would be able to configure your own custom domain once you wanted to go live, so that when the end user is accessing the site, they don't have to access it with this particular URL, but they can access it with a custom domain, which won't be .powerapsportal.com. It can be anything else, right? And then this is the information which you have to show. And once you say done, what it will do, it will start creating the project structure. Now, to save us time, I'm going to skip that, but this is the basic information which we will put when we are doing that. So I already have a site which I have created. To edit an existing site, what you can do is you can come to the Power Pages landing page. Here you would be able to see the site which is there, right? And what I will do is I'll just click on edit, which will open the Design Studio specifically to that site. Now, these are the workspaces we were talking about: pages, styling, data, and setup, right? So from here, what you will do is you would be able to create the new pages when we talk about the page workspace, right? So what are the options for you to create the page? You can give the page name, you can give the page navigation, you can either start with a standard layout which is available. So you can see here what kind of layout is there. Depending on what page you are creating, you can start either choose a particular layout, or you can start from the blank. You can also create your own custom layout and upload it at your tenant level, so that if you wanted to standardize the pages which has been created for all the particular website, you can create your own custom layout, and then that layout can be uploaded for the reuse purpose, right? Now let me say, okay, I wanted to create this landing page. I would say test page 2. Okay, so that particular layout pages has been there, right? Now, what you see here is there is a header section, right? There is a footer section, and then there is a body. So any typical website or any typical pages would be there. How you would be able to go and create or edit the header, right? So the site title, you can change the site title and logo, basically whatever you wanted to place it here. And then you can also update the styling. So in here you can basically select the theming, right? So if you wanted to change the color, brand colors, you can directly change it. If you want to change the header colors, you can directly go and change it. Okay, so this is the low code capability which we can use for branding at least also, right? Now we will see more detail in the styling also. There are so many themes which are available which we can directly use. And then it says font, so you can customize the font, what font, title font you wanted to use. And it will also ability for you to go and customize the site navigation, and what you want to do if it is hovered over it, so basically particular menu. So all of these are more or less self-explanatory. It's just that we need to know how much customization is possible out of the box, or sorry, with low code design studio. If not, definitely we can go with the pro code also. So some places you would see this edit code option coming. We will see how you can do that and how easily is to do that change also. But for now, let's just go to the low code ones. And then the layout, which basically is like how you want the site to respond, different sizes, and this one. So depending on the size, you can change the layout, whether you want to full width layout or whether you wanted to center it, so that there is a space between the left and right, all that kind of thing. Okay, so this is the header customization. Coming to the footer, in footer what you can do is you can do background changes customization. If you wanted to add a particular section, if you wanted to add the text of the footer and everything, here you can basically go and add it. Okay, so you can just say which text or image you wanted to add, and then based on that you would be able to customize the footer as well. Okay, now first and foremost thing you have to understand is that every page within Power Pages would have a section. Okay, and what you can do is you can choose this different kind of sections which are available. Column 1, 2 column, 3 column, there would be one third left, one third right, and then spacer if you wanted to just add space between the two things, right? So once you have the section which has been created, let me just add probably one section just for the demo purpose. Then you are choosing a component which you can add to this section. Okay, now this is important for you to understand what are the things which are available. By default, if you are familiar with SharePoint or any low code based or any CMS based tool, it is using the same design framework in terms of what are the components which are available for us to do it, right? Of course you can create a text, of course you can create a button, of course you can add images, video, form, multi-step form, list. We will see these two three advanced ones in detail, but otherwise if nothing else works, if you wanted to just render a particular one in the iframe, you can do that as well. Okay, and it means that any website which is there, you can render it in a particular section in the iframe, right? Now, once depending on a particular section, there would be of course the properties available, right? So for example, this is the text component, and if you see here that you have an ability for you to just change the heading 1 to bold, italic. You can also duplicate this particular section if you want to create an hyperlink. It's basic, like what do you want to do with your what you see, what you get kind of editor, right? Now if it is image, in here similar kind of properties. So for every component, the different kind of properties would be available specific to that particular component, right? And here you would be able to choose a particular image. You can upload your custom image as well. You can either use the stock images which is available, or you can also use the images or the URL which are there in the uh, in your public facing website anywhere. Now, okay, so these are the controls which are available, right? So this is more or less very simple and easy to understand what are the components which are there to be added, right? Now, let's see how you can control the navigations, okay? So basically what you can do is you can create different kind of pages and sub pages as well. So in here, when you are seeing pages, the pages has two sub page, right? Which is below that. And as soon as you would add that page, it tells you whether you wanted to add that page into a particular navigation or not. And if you are adding it, you would be adding it to a particular header element, right? If you want to control, you can just control it from here as well. There are certain options where you can say, move to other pages. It means it will go on the top. You can promote this as a sub page as well. Then there are page level settings which are available. Okay. Now, page level settings. What the questions would be like, what if I wanted to a website wherein I need certain pages to be anonymous page, but certain pages to be authenticated, right? That is what every website would have. This is the page settings through which you would be able to say, these are the page, from here you would be able to control the page name and the partial URL which you would see after the custom domain which you are going to create. And in here you can say who can see this page. So if you have say that anyone can see this page, it means non-authenticated user, any anonymous user would be able to see this page. But if you say I wanted to choose who can see this page, it means there are roles available. Okay, and roles are nothing but dataverse roles which would be there. You can create your own custom roles. By default there would be three roles which would be created. One would be anonymous role, one would be authenticated user, and one would be administrator. Administrator are the ones who would have privilege of editing the website, who would have privilege of customizing the whole website itself. Authenticated users are the user who would be only able to see this particular page once they log in. Okay. uh, the third role is anonymous role. As I said, it is not available because if you want your page to be accessible anonymously to anybody, then it conflicts with the existing role. So you can either choose the authenticated administrator or any custom role which you have defined. So you can define your own custom roles as well. And in that role itself, you can say that, okay, this role has to have an authenticated user or not. Okay. And then through here you would be able to make the pages authenticated versus anonymous. Okay, if you wanted to manage the role which is available here, you can click on manage role. What it will do is basically it will go to the Dynamics 365, which is Power Pages Portal Management. So see, Power Pages is I forgot to mention, but Power Pages is also kind of the new name or the rebranding of Power portals which was available, right, which was for the public facing website. So it is again using the same infrastructure, design framework and everything through which how a particular website, Power Pages website, has been built. Only thing is there are some added capabilities of how this low code design tool is available, or the design studio is created for us to quickly create that website. So when I clicked here, you see that these are the active web roles which are available in the Power Pages Management, which is basically a Dynamics 365 or app which is available, and it is associated to my site. My site was this site ER47Y. If you want to create new role, you can create a new role here, and then you can, when you will sync it, that role would be available. Only thing you have to do is whenever the logged in user or authenticated users are there, you need to make sure that by default which is the role which you wanted to assign, and accordingly the page permissions would work. Okay, I'm not going to go in detail of that. And then there are other pages. Now see, these other pages are the pages which are in a way you can create it, okay, but you wanted to just use it in a different scenario as well. Okay, that is not part of your either navigation, but it is available internally, so you don't want to show it anywhere, but you wanted to still create that page. That page might be explored via a button on a other sub page, right, but you don't want to be added in the navigation. Then you can create it as a move it to the other pages, so it will be removed from the navigation. Okay, now let's go to styling. We will talk about the pages again, and we will see how we can create or connect the form or a view also from the dataverse table. But in here I was talking about styling, right? So if you see here, there are around 17 themes which are available, and based on particular theme, automatically you would be able to preview that particular theme, and then you would be able to see what are the theming platelets or what are the colors which are available, and how that color, depending on that color, how the overall view would be changed, right? You can also create your own custom theme and apply that custom theme by doing the pro code options which is available, and that theme also would be used for across the regions. Okay, so in here you can see on the other styling where we were seeing, you would be able to just see navigation based styling, but this controls overall styling of your website. What is the background color you needed? Do you want the background color to be gray, right? And then it will create a background color gray. What should be the font for the title? What should be the heading 1? What should be heading 2, heading 3? So we, as in branding, if you have a branding guideline for your website, you can use that branding guideline to customize this theme using out of the box, because most of the time this would be the default elements which would be there for you to control what is your heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, subheading, etc. What would your, how would your buttons look, how would your links looks, and then by default if you wanted to have a particular spacing or margin between the different sections, that also can be controlled here. Now what I will do is I will go to data last, okay, because I wanted to conclude on that front. So first let's go and see the setup. Okay, what are the things you can do in setup? Now by default the setup workspace gives you more control on what are the things which is available. In here you can control, so it doesn't mean that once you have given the name you cannot change the site name. You can always go and change the site name. What you can do is you can change the URL also, which we will see. It would be in the go live checklist where you can customize your domain. You can also run your site checker. Basically it tells if there are any security related tests to strengthen your site itself. And in here there are some admin custom domain actions which was available, right? So this is what we are talking about. I see some of the questions also coming in, that how you can add custom domain. Yes, you can. You have to go to Power Platform Admin Center, and from there you would be able to customize the custom, I mean you will be able to add the custom domain. You would have to make sure that the DNS entries from the Power Pages or the IP address of the Power Pages website which has been allocated to us, the same DNS entry or the A record would be available in the is added in your hosting, right? Basically wherever you have purchased your domain from, and from there you would be able to do it. And from, yeah, so from here you would be able to do the IP restriction, upload custom certificates and all this thing. Okay, I'm not going to go into detail of this, but consider that you can perform any kind of security based website which is available, through which you would be able to create and you would be able to configure so that your website is more secured and all the governance related things are also taken care of. Now This is a go live checklist. Okay, this is like a checklist given by them wherein it says that if you wanted to make your website live, these are the things you should do, so that to make sure that you wanted to all the checklists have been followed. Okay, first is to run the site checker. Then you have to pick and allocate license to make sure that the license are allotted to the environment. Then you have to convert the trial to production. So any site which we will create by default would be trial, so you need to make sure that it is converted to the production. We can enable CDN to load the site faster. It means the all the static assets like JS file, images, etc., are rather than directly delivered from the hosting platform, it is available from the CDN. You can also enable Azure Web Application Firewall so that it provides centralized protection for your web application, wherein all the security related information also makes sense. Okay, then connect your custom domain and then set the site visibility to either public so that it is actually available for people to go and search and browse it. Okay, so these are the checklist which is available. Now I said we will talk about identity providers, right? So these are the some of the identity providers which are available. Okay, if your site is you want the site to be authenticated site, you need to make sure that you have at least one authentication provider enabled. If you don't want to configure it with any other identity providers, you can always use local sign-in. Okay, what does local sign-in means? A typical website which works, which is basically username and password based thing, right? And what you can do is you can basically go and create the username and password in your account table, and from your account table, the user would come and enter your username and enter the password, and that username and password which the user would enter would be stored in the account table, and from there they would be able to use it. If you want, you can also configure Azure Active Directory. In this case, user can directly go and log in within the Azure Active Directory. You can also enable B2C for your B2C scenarios. Then the Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, Twitter, Microsoft, all kind of authentication settings are available through which you would be able to do it. What I will do is probably just to see this one, I will just preview the website which we have created, right? So you click on preview button here and you go to the preview. It is going to go and open the website. Okay, now this page is accessible anonymously, so that's why it is available. But in here, if you see, there is a sign in option, right? And how the sign in experience works, okay? Because if you would have seen that in our cases, we had two authentication identity provider enabled, which is username and password. And then there was also Azure AD. So if you wanted to log in using Azure AD, what you can do is you can just click on Azure AD. It will go to your Azure AD sign in, Microsoft sign in account, and then from there you would be able to go and quickly log in, and that user would be stored in the account table or the contact table of that particular dataverse environment. Of course, any sign in methods which is available with the identity provider, it will need your first name, last name and everything to be updated, which you can store it and which you can do it. So now right now if you see that by default that has been created and that has been added, but because I don't have first name and last name updated, I can go and update it and it will go and update in my contact tables as well. So now what we will do is, okay, let us go to the data table, right? So how you can connect your pages to the existing tables which are there, or you wanted to create your custom tables as well, right? What you can do is, see in here in the data where you go, by default it will show you all the tables which are available in this environment, right? In here right now, the table which is available is the feedback table. So it means this is a custom table, not all the existing tables which are there in a particular environment. But when you click on other tables, there are all other tables are also which is available. So all these tables are out of the box tables which are created as a part of your Dataverse environment. You can use any table which you wanted to use, right? In here, there is a feedback table which is available. And if you would see here, this is the similar experience which we get in a model driven app or in the Dataverse table when you are going to go and configure your table, right? You have your table data tab where you would be able to quickly go and see the data which is available. Then from views, you would be able to go and create the new view, or edit or configure the existing views. And then of course there would be forms which you can create, and that forms can be added into model driven app screens. Same way these forms can be added into your Power Pages screen as well, right? So how do you do that? So for that, for example, let me go and see the existing contact us page which is available, right? So this was the contact us page. This is more or less the feedback page which is created. What it is going to go is it is going to go, and whenever the field has been the page has been filled, like this one, this page, it is going to go and create the data into our feedback table, because we are actually connected this table or this form with the feedback table. How you can add your own field tables or your own form? So what you can do is, if you have your own section which is there, so like let me add a one section. In here there was this controls which was form, multi-step form, list, and Power BI, right? If you go to form, it will ask you whether, I mean, Copilot again comes into picture here. If you want to create a new form itself based on a particular description, you can do that. Otherwise, you can just say you can create a new form, or you can choose the existing form which is available, right? And these are the forms which are available for a feedback form, basically the feedback table form which is available. Now, if you want to create a new form, you can just go and say form, create a new form. Then you can choose the table on which you wanted to create the form. So if I, for example, say feedback, it will also ask you if you wanted to select the existing form. So consider this thing, right? What you are doing is the form which is available, you are already created in the model driven app, right? And you can create a form based on that particular form. So you are using the existing form, and from that form you would be able to create the new form. So if I say simple new contact us form, you can give your own name here, and then you can say okay to do it, right? Now what do you want to do with that form? Any form which we create, either would be a create new record form, update a form, or it would be a view only form. So you can choose that whether this form is an edit form, a create form, or a view only form. What do you want to do on submit? Do you want to display a message? Do you want to redirect to a different URL? Do you want to redirect to a different page once the form has been submitted? Do you want to enable captcha or not? Do you captcha would be enabled only for authenticated user or only for anonymous user? That also can be controlled. And if you want to enable attachment, that also can be done. So basically this is how you create the form, and then form would be associated with it. To edit an existing form, you can always click on edit fields. What it will do is it will open that particular form in the edit mode. In here you can add your own new fields, you can remove the fields, or any kind of properties which you wanted to set for that particular form. All of that can be controlled from here. So that is how the form can be customizable and can be directly be added. More or less consider this as a form which you create in a model driven app, right? Because we are using the same infrastructure or the same forms which are available. Only thing is that forms can be still be used in here itself. So in here, like if you select a particular control, what you can do is you can customize what you want to label name to be. If you want to hide the label, what should be the formatting, whether you want to be read only for that particular form, you want to lock it, you can hide it, all these settings. So these are like general scenarios which you wanted to do it. Now let us talk about list, right? Form is fine. What if you wanted to create a page where you wanted to see list of all the entries which is there, right? So for that particular requirement, we have a list component which is available. Same thing here. When you say add a list, you can either create a new list, or you can choose the existing list is available. Now list here is just a terminology being used in Power Pages, which is very much equivalent to views in the model driven app. Okay, so once I select this, I'm saying that okay, I wanted to display the feedback data onto this page. So it is going to go and create the view for us, right? What it is saying is it is saying to permission on the list, so it can be used and by the site visitors, because now this page is anonymous page, and I am using a table which doesn't have a permission for all the anonymous user to be set. It is giving me this option. Good thing is from here you would be able to update the permission. You can say that okay, this is my permission and I want this read permission to be available to authenticated user, anonymous user, or sorry, administrator, authenticated user, and anonymous user, right? If you have your own custom roles, you can still do that. Okay, so depending on what you are trying to build, make sure that the roles are created in by default there. make sure that the table has the right permission, and also make sure that the page has the right permission, so that the user who is going to see that page would can only access the page, but can also access a particular component or a particular control which is displayed, right? Now, why this is needed? I think probably you might want to see or have a page wherein you need certain things to be displayed to the user based on a particular role. So if you wanted to have a same page wherein based on the role you wanted to control whether this user is going to see this page, or whether this user is going to see, sorry, this section, or whether they want to going to see the other section. That is what the this one is about. Okay. So this is the list, right? One more thing which was there is multi-step form. Okay, this is also a similar form only, but the only thing is this would be create a form which would be a wizard-based form. It means that if you have so many fields, you don't want user to see all the fields in single page. But what you want to do is you want to create a wizard-like a form, probably like a survey or something like that, through which you would be able to create a multi-step form. On each step of the form you would have certain controls which would be available, and then from there you would be able to go and configure that form, and the user would be seeing a wizard like features which would be available, right? So yeah, so that is that. And then we said Power BI, right? So basically, from if your website is using an external facing website, if you wanted to embed your Power BI report in here, you can do that. So basically in here you can, right now, because Power BI is not enabled from the admin center, it is not available for me to configure, but once you will enable it, from there you would be able to select a particular Power BI report, and then that report would be displayed here, right? Now, all of this is available out of the box, right? And the other things which we will talk about is adding the automated flow. All of this won't be directly added to the Power Page. In a way, when we say add an automated workflow, it means that, for example, if you wanted to automate something whenever the contact us form is filled, you wanted to send an email to your internal user that, hey, a contact us entry has been created, right? For that, you create a Power Automate, say that when an entry is created in the feedback form, send an email to the internal user that a entry has been created, so that user can go and see that, right? And then for the advanced configuration of your website, you can go to Power Pages Management. This is what I already talked about. That is all the other configuration related to the Power Pages website, which was already available in the Power Apps portal. Okay, they are slowly and gradually moving some of the functionalities from the Power Pages Management portal to everything in the Design Studio. But there are certain things still which is you have to go to the Power Pages Management portal to do that kind of configuration, because it is not available in the Design Studio. Now, uh, to conclude, last thing I wanted to show is what if your all of this which you are seeing doesn't work, and you need an advanced capability for you to go and edit your website, right? As in your pro code developer. And then there is a quick option which is available. So you go to a website or any page, you click on edit code. What it is going to do is it is going to open the Visual Studio Code in the browser, where you would see list of all the pages, all the HTML, JS, CSS, etc., which we have already created, been available there. Okay, so at the end, because Power Pages, as I said, is a CMS based application, at the end it is just collections of the HTMLs, JS, CSS, and if it is a control like a form, list, or anything, then it would have that component associated. But otherwise it is purely HTML, nothing else, right? So when I open this website here, what you see is you are seeing this folder structure, right? Where it says advanced form, where it says, and you can use, in fact, you can use Copilot in Power Pages, which is using the capability of GitHub, Copilot for GitHub, wherein you can add, HTML, JS, or liquid code here itself. So if you want to customize not only just low code, but you can use Copilot to customize your pro code capability itself. Now in here, when you are seeing all of the pages which you were seeing, right? Whatever pages were here, you see everything is in the web pages. Okay, if you are talking about the page which we created, like we created a page called test page 2, right? This test page 2 is nothing but an HTML based page which we had created, right? So pure HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Here By default, any page would you create out of the box would have a global CSS associated with it. If you want to customize and have your own page specific CSS, you can always go and write your CSS here. Okay, plain CSS, nothing there. Okay, if you want to write your own JavaScript, you can come to this JS file and you can write your own JavaScript. So like document.ready, you wanted to do something, on click of submit, you wanted to do something. All of this you can do it here. If you wanted to call your APIs, web APIs, to collect the data from the dataverse, that is also available. Okay, if you would tell the Copilot to give the code for through which you would be able to go and connect to a particular table, it gives that. It basically makes an API call via Ajax, and then once the response is there, it returns that response back. You can read that response and then you can add that HTML by injecting the JSON response in the this one. Okay, people who are familiar with SharePoint and the customization we were doing using JSON, right? SharePoint JSON, it's very much familiar what you will do. Only thing is here you can either connect it with your SharePoint or you can connect with your Dataverse API or any other API if you have custom APIs as well, right? So these are the web pages which is available for every page which we were there. And in here the templates which we were seeing, all the templates are also there. So if you wanted to add a particular template within that particular website, so you need to make sure that every new developer which is creating a page always create it from a particular one. That can be done. If you wanted to customize your header and footer, right? This is the header.html file. This is the and then there would be footer.html file from where the footer is coming. So if you wanted to add something in the header and footer, you can customize, come update it here, and it would be reflected in the front end as well. And if you wanted to, like, one page layout which is there, if you wanted to customize that layout, that also can be done. Okay, these are the dynamic content which comes into picture, right? When you say one page layout, it means what it is going to do is it is going to create the div element, and then the dynamic elements would be there which would be added. So if you want like breadcrumb not to be displayed in a particular page template or in a particular sub page, you can always go use create a custom layout out of this and then associate that layout and remove that whole together, and then you would be able to do it. Okay, once you are done with your change, what you can do is you can just come here, you can just save it, okay, from here. But once you are done, what you have to do is you have to click on sync button from here either or from here, so that whatever changes we have done, that changes would be reflected in the front end. That is how you would be able to customize it. Okay, now with that I wanted to conclude my session. Okay, so to summarize, you can jumpstart with your Power Pages or external facing website development uh, using your low code based capability which is available. But that doesn't limit us to just the low code tool which is available. You have your full control over the programming which you wanted to do by using the pro code capabilities also. There is, as I said, HTML, JSS, CSS based customization can be done. And then also there is a liquid programming, which is basically a kind of XML, XSLT based programming, which I relate to liquid programming to XML, XSLT based programming, through which you would be able to get the data by using the XML nodes, and then you can write your own HTML so that the dynamic data can be converted into dynamic HTML, and then can go from there. With this, thank you again for the patience. Thank you for listening. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer that. And I would also wanted to thank the organizer, Mohammed, and the whole team for organizing such a wonderful event. Thank you, everyone. And that's it from my side.